Grace. They're coming.
It's 2025. I checked.
Don't come any closer!
We are officially 5 months away from the release of Resident Evil 9 Requiem, starting the year off strong with a February release ahead of other games like James Bond First Light, Grand Theft Auto 6, and Fable, in a move that in my opinion might put their sales ahead but push them farther from Game of the Year. We've got a lot going on, and just the volume of massive games releasing closer to the middle and end of the year could give Resident Evil 9 a lot to compete with. But it's looking like 2026 will be an incredibly stacked year for gamers, it's safe to say right now. With all the different trailers and game news coming out right now, Resident Evil 9 is of course still my main focus, being an avid fan of the franchise essentially since the original release of Resident Evil 4 in 2005, and having played all of the readily available titles, and even some not so readily available ones since then. Not only do we know that there will be a panel exclusively dedicated to Resident Evil 9, thanks to Project Parasol on Twitter, we actually also know all of this as well. On September 27th/28th, Sony PlayStation Japan will be hosting a panel dedicated to Resident Evil 9 Requiem. This event will take place as part of the Tokyo Games Show. Additionally, September 28th and the following days are particularly important for the entire Resident Evil series and Raccoon City, which may underscore the significance of this panel. I think that's super exciting, and I cannot wait to find out more about this game just later this week. Resident Evil 9 Requiem will be released on February 27th, 2026, and supposedly signifies a bold shift from the franchise norm. It follows Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst, as the protagonist in a story set in Raccoon City. Players will experience the horror from Grace's perspective as an introverted, easily scared character with the option to switch between both first-person and third-person gameplay perspective, with a heavy focus on stealth and evasion. I've been waiting for this game since March 24th, 2023, when we got our last taste of the Resident Evil recipe with Resident Evil 4 Remake. That game gave me everything I wanted and more, so I have incredibly high hopes for Requiem. And I figured now might not be a bad time to go over some of the facts I've learned in the last week and a half that might help you understand what's going on in Resident Evil 9. But first, a word from our sponsor, me. Hey everybody. If you wouldn't mind, please drop a like, please drop a sub, please drop a comment. We're working really hard to get up to 1,000 subs so that we can start branching out more with our content, and we desperately need the help. We're sitting around 470, so if you wouldn't mind contributing, drop a like, drop a comment, share this with some people. Even post it to Reddit. We'd appreciate that a ton. But let's get back to the video. Resident Evil Requiem takes place in 2028 from what we have gathered so far. It's stated to take place 30 years after the Raccoon City incident in 1998, with most fans up until now speculating that it would either take place in 2027 or between 2024 and 2026, before it was recently confirmed by art director Tomonori Takano that it takes place in 2028. The Hag, with no official name yet but being fondly referred to by the development team as the Stalker, but also affectionately named by the community as the Hag, is our main enemy of showcase so far from the gameplay reveal and promotional material we've seen. Although it's very safe to say she will not be taking the main enemy role outside of certain sections, at least in my opinion. After having been there to see the release of Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 and seeing the influence that Jack Baker took on Resident Evil 7's promotional material, and that Lady Dimitrescu took on Resident Evil 8's promotional material, leads me to think that much like both of those enemies, we may be dealing with an enemy that pops up possibly 3 to 5 times throughout the game with 3 major boss fights and is sort of just a stalker enemy like Mr. X. An enemy that was not actually engineered to be fought or be your main focus, just an enemy that's there to add pressure to the gameplay as you go. But I think the Hag will be just about the same as them in terms of how much we see her and how much she influences the rest of the game. We had a total of 3 fights with Jack Baker in Resident Evil 7. And also 3 fights with Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil 8. But I still have high hopes to see what the Hag can do in the game.
Don't come any closer!
We know for sure based on the trailers and gameplay material released already that the game will be taking place primarily in Raccoon City, returning for the first time since Resident Evil 2, 3, Outbreak, Outbreak Files number 2, Umbrella Chronicles, Darkside Chronicles, Operation Raccoon City, Umbrella Corps, Resistance, and Reverse. So I guess we actually spent a lot more time in Raccoon City than we all seem to think we have. But we've seen the rubble of the RPD, and we know we will be visiting there at least once in the game. We also know about the hotel where Grace goes to investigate the recent murder and follow up on Alyssa's murder from 8 years prior. But that's pretty much what we know so far about locations. It's also a little late in the video to be breaking this one to you, but we also have confirmation now after decades that Alyssa from Outbreak did survive and was alive at the time of us finding that article about her in 2016 in Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Long-time Resident Evil leaker Dusk Golem has confirmed that we will be seeing Leon Kennedy in this game featured as a potential side character, more than a cameo at the very least. This news does not come as a huge shock considering the developers have stated Leon was originally intended to be the main protagonist before deciding that he just wasn't right for a horror-focused game. While Dusk Golem is not always right, he does have a track record of pretty reliable information from Capcom developments. So no matter what you think of him, there is a high likelihood that he is correct, and we will be seeing an announcement about this soon. Oh, and we actually have some even more newly added information with a screenshot of the DMs between Resident Evil and Dusk Golem, confirming what we know so far about the Tokyo Games show release and also Leon's inference in the game. Currently, none of his direct sources know what the marketing plans are, but he seems to know quite a bit about the other stuff. We know there will be a reveal at Tokyo Games Show for Leon, most likely, as well as pre-orders for the game as a whole. We know that Leon will be aged and outfitted in a black instead of brown jacket this time around. We know the game will not be open world, but that Leon and Grace will both have similar but separate levels in the campaign, splitting off from each other and meeting back up later. We know that Leon's campaign will be more action-focused and Grace's will be more survival horror-focused in nature, as well as the fact that there will be a vehicle section between the two. Not a new campaign feature for Resident Evil after 5, but a rather odd one and potentially off-putting for some fans. He says Capcom is being very conscious of the not-so-wonderful reception of the more bombastic parts of the games, like the mech fight in Resident Evil 8, and are catering towards a more realistic and horrifying progression, but that Leon's gameplay will still be more action-oriented for the most part. That excites me a lot. I think that there's potential for the vehicle section to be a section where we get to explore the RPD or just the surrounding area, and that would hype me up so much. He states that the majority of Leon's campaign is set in 2020, but that Grace's is set in 2028, meaning that there will be time jumps and separate environments and separate set pieces from campaign to campaign. We know Leon wasn't chosen early on for the game's main protagonist role, due to him not being perfect for the horror genre, but Dusk Golem reminds us that this is not an exclusively survival horror game. The list of active characters we know of in-game is pretty short at the moment, but I'm sure it will grow as we get more trailers and material to go over. Right now we have Grace Ashcroft, potentially Alyssa Ashcroft for a small gameplay section, and also potentially Leon Kennedy as a separate second campaign if the leaks are to be believed. We know that we will be playing as Grace primarily based on the gameplay demo and the trailer clips of her loading a handgun and wielding a rifle later on as well. We caught a glimpse of the man in the hood twice that are pretty revealing as well. In the first trailer, when Patrick Bateman's the hotel manager, we get a great look at his face, and again when he's seen sitting in the chair by the fireplace with the phonogram next to him. I've seen a lot of speculation that he might be Oswald D. Spencer because of the phonogram record player sitting next to him, but I definitely don't think that that is enough of a hint for that big of a jump, especially considering what we saw Wesker do to Oswald in the Resident Evil 5 flashbacks. But in the same scene, we do get to see that his jacket is made of a similar or possibly the same material as Wesker's outfit in Resident Evil 5. Does this mean some sort of connection between Oswald or Wesker and this hooded antagonist? I don't know quite yet, but it feels possible. New to the franchise's mainline entries is the ability to switch back and forth in-game between first-person and third-person perspective for your gameplay. This is a huge addition to the game and I think will help offer a varying degree of immersion and difficulty in some areas. and I'm really excited to get to experience the game twice in 2 different perspectives, and possibly with 2 different styles of gameplay with that. As we come to the end of the video, I'll give a quick recap of the info I dropped on you today. Resident Evil 9 Requiem takes place primarily in Raccoon City. The Hag will probably play a smaller role than what we're led to believe in the promotional material. It takes place exactly 30 years after the Raccoon City incident in 1998. Alyssa Ashcroft is a returning character from Outbreak and is featured in an article in Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in 2016. We have a strong potential leak that Leon Kennedy will be in the game. We have a very short character list as far as this game goes. The Man in the Hood is potentially Wesker related, and for the first time, we get to swap back and forth between first person and third person perspective in-game. Please drop a comment with any theories or ideas you have, as well as with anything I may have missed in this brief breakdown. This has been your boy Kiba, signing off.